Welcome back to LETV. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any upcoming content. Let's do this. Right guys, so I'm back and I'm here in Leith at Brunk Studio and I'm with music producer, sound engineer and DJ Own Dialect.
How you doing, Riddle?
Good man.
Good.
Cheers for coming on.
Yeah,
Been looking
nice,
forward
nice.
to this one. Studio's amazing, man.
Yeah, welcome to the studio. Glad to host you guys, and
As soon as I came in, I was like, wow, man, loving your studio, eh? So, yeah, quality. So we've got it in the camera for you guys to check out as well. Nice one, man. Well,
because I'm hosting here in the Brunk studio, but thanks for having me on your platform, on your LETV podcast.
Yeah, no. Thanks for coming on, man.
I'm glad to join because I see my let's say old friends from the scene here in Scotland, like U-Turn. I was really glad to see his face and actually hear what's new in his life, and I'm glad he's keeping up with his DJ passion, with his scratching. It was good to see Nasty P. Was he a first guest?
He was the first one, man.
Okay,
yeah. Big up Nasty P, eh? He took the big steps.
Top DJ as first guest in your podcast series. It's a good choice, I guess. Yeah. I also check the one with Conscious Root as well.
Cool.
He's still grinding and putting up.
So you watched most of them, eh?
I know you put some more, but I guess I need to catch up. I heard already you got a couple of new ones. I'm really interested in.
Yeah, man.
Because I'm not sure if I can say, but I guess you took a trip to Livingstone.
Aye, you're all right. That's been online and that. It's not online to watch, but people know.
I'm looking forward to see what's happening in Livingstone.
Well, hopefully by the time this one's out, Bars Furies will probably already be out, so you guys will watch that one. So it's
nice
mad, talking ahead of the future.
Yeah, crazy. But that's what you need to kind of do as well, right? I mostly release music through YouTube. That's my main outlet, especially for music videos as well.
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep up with Spotify and all the kind of other streaming platforms as well. But that's kind of my main outlet to promote my music, my beats, my video clips. And you need to to be consistent, you need to kind of think ahead and prepare that material in advance if you want to have that steady sort of traffic on your account, streams, and people checking out and
keep ahead all the time.
I'm actually need to get better at that as well, and
me too. I'm still
be more
learning.
consistent, because I got my we talked that before, I got my waves. I'm super prominent on social medias, and I'm really and I do enjoy it, putting content out. But then I got times I can't be bothered. I'm still in a studio working with artists, let's say, or making beats, but I'm not really feeling sharing that with people. I'm just rather that old school way, just working on your stuff.
Yeah. Aye, busy, but you're not out there chatting about it much, really.
Yeah.
That's why these podcasts are good for folk like you. People know who you are and stuff, and be interested in what you're up to, because you're not talking about it all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
So, nice one. Cool, man. Well, we'll just crack. I want straight on the black coffee. Came here and asked him for a coffee. I had no milk or sugar, so
no milk
straight on the
sugar,
black sugar, black coffee. But wake me up a wee bit, guys, because I'm a bit tired. So hopefully I'll keep up to speed. Right, cool, man. Well, we can just bash on with the first part. And cool, and it's basically all about where you're born, where you're from, where you grew up, what you were like as a kid, your personality and stuff like that. And so start off sort of where you were born, where you're from.
I'm Polish, so I was born in Poland, a long time ago, in the 80s, and I left just to kind of long story short as well. I left to Scotland whenever I was 20, 21, I think. So all that before, I stayed in Poland, and in several places as well. I was born in Starogard Gdański. It's a kind of small town, small city you can say, in northern part of Poland. So
cool.
That's where I spent my sort of early childhood. Then we moved a little bit to different smaller town, then like to the kind of countryside with my family as well. And I stayed there pretty much until I was kind of late teens. I would go to school, kind of primary school, to different town as well, and to like kind of high school to Starogard Gdański, where I was actually born. But so I moved in between places. After that, I kind of went to uni, to different city, Bydgoszcz, for
cool.
a few years, and I never kind of complete that task. I stayed there for a few years, and pretty much straight from there I kind of hit to UK, and that was the time around 2007 I came to, and also lots of like a kind of my Polish peers at some point would, let's say, try to work and down south, like in England, or like go to London or places like that. But I was actually first, like, you know, introduced straight to Scotland, and like I'm actually staying in Edinburgh since 2007.
I find that always interesting when people come over to the UK and they come to Scotland, and I always think it must be, when you're from another country, the first option in your head must be sort of like you want to go to London, you know. So I can see a lot of people must do that, probably more common.
Yeah.
Aye.
But that was like, you know, because I think like Poland joined like EU 2004.
Aye.
And that's when the really kind of proper migration wave started. So I was already kind of couple years behind that, like, you know, because at first it was like, yeah, I got like my cousin like went to like England and he got a job and he brought some good money and he said it was cool and all that, and you know, everybody would, like, as you said, go London or like smaller places around, and Luton even, and
Birmingham and probably. Aye.
Manchester and stuff. But I was probably a few years after, like there was actually friends as well which sort of introduced me to that idea that like, Scotland could be better perhaps. So and I kind of liked them, and I guess I just
I think there's probably
chose that option,
definitely,
like, you know,
positives to Scotland compared to England. I think. I mean, it's crazy busy, even in Leith and that, like traffic and everything, people. But
smart.
Like you go down to some places in England, and it's just like that all over their whole city.
Yeah,
you know, it's like it's busy, and I often feel like you've got everything you need. It's a bit quieter up in Scotland. You know,
I actually did few kind of smaller tours down south as well. So even getting caught up in the traffic when you're trying to get to Bristol or Cheltenham or London, and you're getting stuck up somewhere in Birmingham, like, you know, 2 hours, 3 hours in the traffic. So like I did that too.
People that live in the London area, like some people have like a 2-hour drive to work every day. You know, 2 hours home. It's like, wow, man, you finish at 5, you're not home till 7.
Like, we just learned to really travel down south early in the morning, like 3-4 in the morning, starting the maybe journey or like perhaps leaving there on the evening, like Sunday evening, Monday evening. And
I drive down a lot. Go to visit family in Devon. You know, down the south, southwest. Aye. So I've done it tons of times, and we normally always leave like in the evening, like sort of. Not sure exactly what time, to be honest. I'd be lying if I just made that up. But sometime in the evening, it's normally as soon as we can, as soon as we're ready. And then you're just driving through the night, really. You're getting there at some crazy time, like 2 in the morning or something. But
it's hard for the drivers, though.
Yeah.
It's difficult, and like
I've had to stop and sleep at the side of the road and be like pull into a service station. I can't go on. I need to, and even just like a wee 45 minute.
Definitely.
Get up, bit of fresh air.
That's what my like if I would go with a friend who was a driver, that's what would they do quite often as well. Once like my friend Merz, we went with him to hip hop camp festival down in Czech Republic. So that took us like collectively, I think, over 30 hours to get there. Like, you know, so by a car. So that was like a hard one as well. And he had to do some sort of breaks, even like you said, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to sleep a little bit, like, you know.
Call it a power nap, eh?
Yeah, power naps and Red Bulls.
Aye.
That's what
power
it was.
Power naps totally work, eh? I mean, it's obviously tested, eh? You've got to only have about half an hour, and your body like regenerates like in quite a lot in half an hour, eh?
I think sailors, which like go in for those, like, you know, trips around the world, like on their own, they kind of train themselves to kind of even they doing like power naps like 5-10 minutes or even a couple of minutes. They can switch them off to sort of rest.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like, you know, despite you might be on some type of autopilot on your boat, you can still, you need to stay vigilant, and like, you know, any second, any minute something can change, even like the weather and stuff. So you need to kind of not sleep too much, like, you know, as Nas said
Aye, just
once
little
back in the time.
just little naps to keep
Yeah.
you going. Aye, sleep is the cousin of death.
Yeah.
I nearly missed you there. Eh?
You got it. Nice.
I was about to say something else there, and then I went, "Oh yeah, sleep's the cousin of death." Cool, man. Well, I suppose just more maybe when you were still in Poland. What were you like as a kid? Like your personality and your interests.
Well, like as a really young kid, I was really into kind of history books, like dinosaurs, like, you know, Vikings and all that stuff. And I would consider myself back in the day like a good kid, I assume, like, you know. I also was like raised by my mom was a teacher, so like, and for a period of time I would have to attend to the school, to primary school she was teacher, and so that can be kind of like a weird and awkward for a kid as well, like, you know. So at some point when I was really young, obviously she wants me to kind of lead example, so like, you know, I was kind of maybe expected to have like a good grades, and like, you know, and whenever I was like really young, first grades of grades of primary school, I would just like naturally had good grades because I was like into books. I like to read the encyclopedia, and like, you know,
Mum had brought you up like that, probably. Gave you plenty of books as you were young. And
that was they were always quite present in my life, and like that also always said like, you know, I should read, and sort of gave me even like adult books and kind of more difficult, but like, check this, you might like it, it's quite interesting about this war or like something like that. So so to probably 10, 11, like to that age, I was kind of into that. And obviously sports, I was really active. I like to play football with like my friends. It's quite common for like, you know, young boys, and just like being up to something, riding a bikes. I love
climbing a tree.
You know, climbing. Totally, really simple lifestyle. As I said, I also stay in a like for a moment in a like for most of the time actually in the countryside. So the life was kind of like the pace of the life wasn't that fast like in the city comparing to the city. Like
I love the countryside. I'd rather.
But you see, as a kid, I didn't really appreciate it. Especially in my like when I started getting into like my teens and like, you know, getting into that age, like mid-teens, and that was like as well 12, 13. I started getting interested maybe because I always listened to music. There was always music present at home as well. Like some CDs before that, tape decks before that. Like as a kid, I just remember that I had a like turntable, which are sort of like became mine like later after. And he always kind of listened to mixture of the music from heavy metal to some perhaps like jazz. He always liked classical music, like, you know, pop music. So music was always at home, but they were just like that, played the guitar, but like I didn't have that like much of the interest apart from that. Like I liked listening to the music. At some point, like my
your dad played the guitar.
Just like my dad's hobby is like he's a sailor as well. He likes to sail, and like, you know, they
That's
call
how
it,
you know a lot about sailing and stuff.
And they kind of like, you know, just simple playing, you know, those like sailor songs, like, you know, on the guitar and singing. So that's what he would he would actually drive us crazy with sometimes with that, like, you know, but but once I got like at some point I got like a tape deck, like old school, like simple, like a tape deck from my like 2 channels, like from my granny, and she gave me like a couple like cassettes, like Mother Talking, like, you know, like a German, like a kind of, I don't know what you call not new romantic, Italo disco type of like a music. So at some point it was like whatever the music I would get from like my parents or like, you know, somebody else, members of the family, I would sort of get down with it. I like it. Oh, it's Queen, Freddie Mercury. Oh, I love this stuff, like, you know, or this, like, I love it. So it wasn't that conscious. I just like vibe with the music, but like once I kind of maybe turn like 12, 13, I start getting more interested into sort of like I want to find
Types of music.
my sound.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what's this music like, or like they telling me that there's this music that like got like this like swear words and like stuff, and like, obviously that's like pre-internet era.
Yeah,
in a sense, like,
yeah.
it's all like TV. I had to like tell you, and there was like three channels.
How old are you?
I'm 36 right
36,
now, so
aye.
yeah, I was
Similar.
born like in 85, so like
Yeah.
I'm still like, it's
Same.
like late 90s.
Same generation as
Mhm.
me, and
Yeah.
I found NWA and was exactly the
Okay.
same, like the swearing and that, and as a kid you're like,
So
What
I
is
even
this?
didn't have really perception that there is like hip hop or rap music. It's like there's this guy, he's called Leroy, like one of the first Polish like rap artists like back in the 90s, and he like swears in his songs, and I'm like I need to listen to that. And at that time it was about sort of like I had an older cousin, and he could, let's say, get me some songs and like re-record on another tape,
aye,
like
Yeah.
so I would request some songs from him. He would make me this same
wee tape.
wee tapes, mixtapes, and and then at some point I got like a better sort of boombox, like a sort of CD player with the tape deck and like radio, so I could start making myself. I could borrow like a CD from somebody and like put it on the tape, and
Yeah.
if I liked the song, I would actually put that
Borrow
song
stuff
like
off folk and copy it.
on one side, like literally 6-7 times. Like if I got hooked on some sort of song, I could listen that, and I have it to that day. Like that's if I'm getting into it, like I'm listening to that song like all day long. It's just like mad. Like
I often do that in the car. Like one of my favourite tunes on an album comes on, and it's like 3/4 of the way through, and you probably get, and I feel like almost sad because I know the end's coming. And it's gonna go.
yeah.
So I'll actually I'm just going to restart it now. So I'm
I
like
got
3/4 of the way through.
Same thing.
Almost like
same thing,
almost
bro.
like
yeah.
DJs do, like
Yeah.
rewind it, bring it back.
Pull up.
Yeah. So I'm like, the tune's about to end, and I'm like, oh, I love that tune. I'm just gonna listen again.
Totally.
Nice one, cool. I don't know what else. So what sort of age did you start getting into sort of thinking that you wanted to do music and get involved?
It was
in
more like when I said like 12, 13, I started like, let's say, I started dig up some like metal records of my dad from 80s and like, or like some rock bands, because back then I was like, okay, Backstreet Boys, I like it, it's kind of cool. Spice Girls, this song is nice, like, it was more like that.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like, I just want to listen to different music, be like a little bit like my way. I don't want to listen to like what everybody else is listening at the moment. I want to like my sound, like kind of little, I guess those like rebel moments start already kind of planting seed in me naturally, because like perhaps I just got to that age. I was curious into like something else, so I started checking like hard rock records of my dad from 80s, 70s, and sort of getting into that music. And friends I liked at the time, like they were like, like metal is the shit, like, metal music. And naturally you start like, with the kind of classics.
Massive over in Europe, more in mainland Europe too, metal. Yeah.
And like let's like Nirvana, like classics, like some grunge music, and I started venturing deeper into kind of stronger like, stuff.
Yeah.
Like death metal, or like genres like Norwegian black metal, and the whole scene, which has like massive crazy story and like, involving murders, like, church burnings, and like, really really bad stuff as well.
I think
And
I've heard about. Yeah, my brother's into metal.
so like bands like, Burzum, like Mayhem, and like bands like from those times would actually they would have proper beefs, like, killing each other, like, in like early 90s in Norway. So obviously as a like young person into that was quite like, apart from that like crazy music, like I'm listening nothing else, not like Spice Girls or like, Backstreet Boys production, which I nowadays as a music producer I do appreciate their song and style of production from 90s. But like, back then I was like, I want something edgy and crazy, and I would like, venture in like different sort of like death metal is nicer, like, they got like better production. And back then I was start getting as well into like, if I could get the original tape, I would obviously unfold like the insides and like, okay, so there's like, so this is James Hetfield of Metallica, and this is Lars Ulrich. He's like the drummer, and who's this guy, like record producer? And I start getting interested in the behinds of that. So I think, and that's sort of like interest, like, and back then it was more like about even like music journalism. I really like to read reviews and sort of read about the music, and I attempt to do that as well. Cool. I also had like, you know, okay, so I'm gonna start playing guitar as well. Like, you know, I picked some guitar for like a couple of months, and like, you know, then I had actually a little accident, so I left it for a moment. And I never
wanted to do
something
with music. You were just
with
like
the music,
attracted.
like even like making those mixtapes for friends, or even like preparing like kind of school pieces they had to prepare, like for some like music classes stuff. I would help people because like I would just like be interested in music, and what it also comes with this, the whole kind of pop culture around the artists I kind of like at that time, you know. And to be honest, and also there was something like this and back then in the subcultures, like we call them, like if you were like a metal kid, you would be expected to sort of dress certain way, and almost like a behave certain way, and maybe sort of, okay, so you shouldn't wear like trackies because you're like, you know, and you need to have like black jeans. That was back whenever I was a kid, like, you know, this kind of like expectation from those old heads, like, you know, which sort of were here before. And for example, they would, this something what emerged back then, like something like new metal. The old heads would say, nah, it's not real metal because like you need like solo guitars, like proper heavy.
My brother and his friends didn't like new metal. They were like, wow.
And like I just love that sound of early Korn albums, and they would introduce that sort of different like bass lines, funky like hip hop bass lines. And they would like have features from the rappers, like, you know, so that's what get me really into sort of like a rap scene as well, like, you know. And at some point, like I start, you know, whenever there was like maybe second or third album of Limp Bizkit, whenever it came out, my least favorite track was that one with Method Man. And like, you know, years after, that would be my favorite track out of the album. So that's kind of over the years. I started mixing, let's say, even the style with like kind of my fashion. So I would have long hair and let's say some like metal band t-shirt, but like baggy jeans. That was my statement. Like, you know, I'm not only this, like I like this and that, and
mixing it, man. Making your own style and that. Well, we've mashed through the time on that first part, by the way. So we're gonna have to stop and have a wee break and play your first track,
cool.
And then get back on it. 2 more parts still to go anyway. So is this going to be your own music that we're dropping?
I'm definitely gonna play some of my music, but I'm not sure what I'm dropping.
All right, maybe feature some MCs on it or some sort.
Perfect.
Yeah, cool.
Well, we're gonna pick something good.
Cool. We're gonna play a track for you just now then, and it'll be a track from Own Dialect, and we'll be back in a little minute.
Own Dialect.
They're not real, they're not authentic. Round it, everything real, everything authentic. They're not real, they're not authentic. Round it, everything real, everything authentic.
222, make space, make room. Radio sets and albums soon. Real and authentic, neck protected. It's not a next thing. You get me? Real like the team in Madrid. Hollow man head up, it's not a myth. Man go hard, man go sick. Jump in a whip and spark up a split. They're not real, they're just flexing. They're not real, not authentic. Man's on a link from UK to Poland. Grand mic controlling. Real like the rain in UK. Real like the roughest estate. Real like the hype at a rave. Real like your biggest mistake. Grime certified MCs on the mic. Send us a rhythm, we'll murk it tonight. Real MCs, chicken a box OGs. Money to London, authentic scheme. You don't wanna test my goons. Old school dons like shoes on a vinyl. You don't wanna mess with the crew in the kitchen like Heston cooking a tune.
They're not real, they're not authentic. Round it, everything real, everything authentic. They're not real, they're not authentic. Round it, everything real, everything authentic.
Pull a man gender on a radius. I'm doing this thing so spontaneous. You don't wanna start push up geraniums. When the man I start push up them planes again. So many thoughts in this thing, I don't wanna start naming it. When I'm done with this game, won't never everything plain again. Here we go again, murking these lanes again. Coulda woulda stopped playing these games again. Push 28 for your brain again. Them man can't ramp with the ting, get slapped off the radius. 2 bullets in the yard, that's game. You don't really wanna play with them. You don't wanna get tape up, we're gonna have to fade it then. Start dishing out bare tombstones that take it then. You don't really want that work, you're the ones in the bacon then.
They're not real, they're not authentic. Round it, everything real, everything authentic. They're not real, they're not authentic. Round it, everything real, everything authentic.
Too many MCs, not enough mics. Me and Gender on a shell man vibe. Shout man down with a shout down high. Send us a rhythm, we'll murk it tonight. And you know what I'm like. Jump on the stage and run up on the mic. Them on a counterfeit, they're fraud. They can't ramp with us. Legit, we're up on SKB. Jack in a box, you can't test me, G. Me and Gender got a mutual agenda. Grime is our playground. 2022, making big moves. Rig getting lit like a zoo. Stayed authentic since I was a youth. Do my thing, never get shook. I was on ground when you was on books. No hats, no hoods. I was on the booth when you was in college. I was making tunes when you was on Molly. I was on the roads when you was on coke. He was getting handouts when I was broke. Polski grime, man's on top. Collie in the rock, Jack in the box.
They're not real, they're not authentic. Round it, everything real, everything authentic. They're not real, they're not authentic. Round it, everything real, everything authentic.
Sit down, man, I'm gonna get slapped down. Back down, everybody in check now, man, I sweat now. Pull up on the whole set now, man, I fret now. When I pull up on the set, man, I upset now. 28 shot, put you on the deck now. Make everybody show respect now. Card didn't wanna get G-check now. Make box up, I lay down, stay down. Cause we don't play round, we'll spray rounds. M to the K now, better pray now. Turn up every day now, man, I really tryna air what you gotta say now. I bet you that I think that it's okay now. But you the one that's ever pull up where you stay now. Go with the play them games for the play around. You the really wanna play around. Ramp with the ting, them man can't hang with us. Warm to some boy get slapped off the radius. Can't ramp with the ting, them man can't roll with us. Them man better hide and stay far away from us.
They're not real, they're not authentic. Round it, everything real, everything authentic. They're not real, they're not authentic. Round it, everything real, everything authentic.
Right, guys, so that's us back. Hope you enjoyed that track from Own Dialect. I'm just going to say that back in the day, you might have known him as DJ Sokol. For the old school heads.
No doubt. That was the name for like a few long years, like in Edinburgh, and good times as well. Like that was my kind of DJ Sokol. That was my come up in this city of Edinburgh, and
that's why I thought I'd mention it, because people will know that name. You know.
No, definitely.
There'll be a couple of people probably right now going, right.
People would remember like times. I don't know. That's like kind of around 2009. As I said, 2007. I came here. Kind of skip little. Maybe I just gonna get back to the point from like a previous conversation we had, that like. Because you also ask like what really get me into like I want to,
and that's what this part's about anyway. So that's cool.
Do that. It was like whenever like I finished high school, like I was 18 at the time. I sort of went to like Bydgoszcz, that different city, for like a uni, and then I was really properly introduced to like drum and bass scene. And that was like a genre which was like emerging in the underground. Like let's say house music and techno was like the popular genres in like a kind of mainstream city clubs, let's say. And like drum and bass was that like emerging like genre, like, you know, it wasn't nothing obviously like here in the UK, in a place where it was like born, and like, you know, the whole culture of excuse me, raving and pirate radio station. It was nothing like that. It was kind of mid-2000, mid-noughties, and like that's when I got really introduced to drum and bass, and see DJs and MCs spitting over the, like, let's say hip-hop was already kind of present. I would listen to hip-hop records, like, you know, some Polish rap, like some of American stuff, like German stuff. German rap was quite popular in Poland back in the day as well, because they production values.
Some German rap was really big.
Like they were all mainstream back then, and they get like massive budget on videos and like for music production. So like they were like top in Europe,
But
along the French people
there's
as well.
some
Like,
big Polish rappers now as well, though, isn't there?
yeah, no,
Over
of
in
course,
Poland.
like
Yeah.
the Polish like market. That's another thing. It's just crazy. We got like 20-year-old millionaires making like so much money of like hip hop records. Like everything changes as well. Like 15-20 years ago we were feeding with that story like from rappers like to stay real, like, and you cannot be sellout and stuff, and like people didn't want to be endorsed by like big companies or like make cameos in a telly or something like this, because that would be like considered as a sellout. Right now, like those young guys in Poland, and I'm not saying that with no negativity, that's the way the industry works, and it just accelerated in recent decades. And so they might some of them, they make really good money, so obviously, of like streaming, of like touring, and like putting out the rap records, but like on top of that they got sponsorships, they got endorsements, they like, and to tell you the truth, like Polish telly, bro, like every third commercial is like based on hip-hop or rapping or like a image of a rapper or a party or like something like this. So it's crazy that there's like a crazy demand for it. Like Poland is still it's a pretty big country. There's like almost 40 million people, and rap is just very popular. At the moment.
There's a big fan base for
it.
Yeah,
so it's big audience. So
it's what holds back a lot of Scottish hip hop in the long run. Is it's just such a small country. So
yes,
not a big enough fan base really chasing it. So
to create, let's say, proper like money out of that, which is like a kind of funny, because you see in London, obviously I'm not going to compare like London to Scotland or Edinburgh to London, but like it's funny how there are certain London rappers and they make a living of being really a London rapper. Like nobody else really checking them that much, but just because it's so big of a city, and there is such like music industry element in it, like so they can pay, so they can play shows and get paid for it, and they can release records to almost like London or English people only. People can relate and still make that like kind of money, to be a kind of professional rapper. So it's hard to compare, as you said. Like Scotland is way much smaller, and also like there are certain perhaps traditions, culture, like which like
I
see
think
like more like a guitar music. There is like so many like creative people in bands, and like so many like I not really follow, but I know
Scotland's
like
not really got a strong history of like being fans of rap style music. No, I mean, so it's not as strong a fan base.
And somebody gonna say nah, it's not true, and perhaps if you're in a scene and you really tapped into this, what's happening, like we were like for years, like and years, you're gonna say different, but like in kind of overall sort of like even more commercial acts, even from Edinburgh, like Young Fathers, they would get some shine and like play some big festivals or be mentioned in like a sort of like a mainstream media, let's say, but they wouldn't really correspond to kind of general rap artists or how the scene really sounds or something like this. They would be like just kind of individual examples of somebody's kind of
they'd be more just trying to be a sort of carbon copy of that sound that is popular. And it's to try and sell records and that, I suppose. So
but also like I don't want to say like Young Fathers or like people, bands like this, they would like chasing they're very experimental, actually. They're not chasing at all that like mainstream. I think like we all kind of use tools, even like autotune, which are kind of modern and associated with certain style of rap, but like creative artists, they always gonna take advantage of that and use it will serve their purpose, and like that kind of cool.
It's good to try everything.
Of course. So
I think it is good. I mean, there's some things I'm not a fan of, but I've probably even tried them myself too.
And it's like all saying each to their own. Like there's plenty of people. Like I always said like some of my friends, fellow producers, they would get sometimes upset. Like I feel like I'm making good beats and like I get no shine, no place, or like, you know, I sent it to a couple of rappers, they didn't respond. I think my beats are shit and stuff, and I'm like I think like obviously whenever that work was good, I would say like, bro, they're good. They just like, you know, you got very particular style. You need to find your audience, cause like it's hard.
Sometimes
like,
you're sending it to the wrong people.
And that and you know, stories about probably don't have no examples from top of my head, but like there's still like stories about really famous beats we know as like hip hop classics. Like big hip hop classics, which were like, you know, lying somewhere like for 2 years at some big rappers, like, you know, studio or crib, and they never used that, and then like other bigger or smaller rapper took it and even get bigger after that. Like that single was released, so, you know, just being
the history.
There's lots of things like behind the scenes we don't, as a fans, we don't know, like, you know. So, and the same applies to.
Me and Matat done a track with Steg G, and it was on a completely different beat, but we liked it. We thought it was cool, and we left like, oh man, that tune was amazing. And then when he dropped the tune, it was on a completely different beat, but like it was even better. And it was like, what? And that, so it's mad. There was no plan. You would think like we'd sat and wrote to that beat, and it was all planned, but actually like it all chopped at the end and changed, and it was this new beat on it. And it just turned out amazing. We loved the track.
Listen, I do tons of remixes, so like, you know, I like to do that. So quite often, like obviously if we decide to make a tune with like artists and we picked the beat and we all happy after the session how it sounds, and we obviously don't have to do it. We're just gonna mix it, master it, and release it. But like, so I just like take other songs and like, you know, sometimes like there are songs that I don't like even the style, the certain production values or aspects about it, but I love the melody or like the sound of the vocals creating that nice chord progression within the song, and I like to, let's say, kind of sample that, feed off that and rebuild it, like you know, old retro sort of like synthwave tune. Let's put it into nice liquid drum and bass or something like this. That's what we like to do here with like my man Koński, like, you know. So it's good. Like I always approach to remixing as like a kind of dojo stuff, like going to the gym, like, you know, it's not about like to release your music right now or like make like beats to sell or like collect beats for like album of that MC. It's more like, let's see what's happened, like, you know, let's practice something, and you're already feeding off something good in your opinion if you like something. Because like I can't imagine remixing something I don't like, to be honest. Like, you know,
I quite often make beats and stick them in my beat folder, and they're not. So I don't make beats for a specific reason. Most of the time, I have sometimes. I made a beat recently for someone because they wanted that style of beat, so I sat down and worked on that. But normally I just make beats, and then when someone's like, oh, send me something that's like hard boom bap, I'll go into my folder and what have I got? Oh yeah, that one was hard boom bap I made 3 months ago. Like
send that. Totally. You know, now that's what we do. We like, you know, we collect, like put the beats aside, like, you know, and sometimes it's not the right time as well, like, you know.
I like it. People come round and you got many beats. I open my folder and then scroll down it, like they're all available. Like what? They're all.
Just a week ago, I had that session like Puff Heron, like my good mate, like Polish dude living in Cheltenham in England, like very good rapper, like primarily like proper old school, like had like like rapping over like dirty boom bap beats, like punchlines and stuff. So he came for like a little bit longer weekend to Edinburgh, like, you know, with his girlfriend, with his kid, and in between all that he managed to pop into the studio a few times, and like he did that with Mr. P, like my frequent collaborator as well. And like I was just busy with some other stuff, really, like, you know, working and like different projects, different like kind of studio sessions, and I was a little bit stressed, like shit, like I didn't have no time to really like make some nice beats and stuff. But at the same time, like, you know, then okay, like, but we got beats, like, you know, because I sent packs, I some beats I upload to BeatStars. They're like some of the beats I exclusively try to maybe send to a couple of rappers, see what's happened. Sometimes they don't respond. Sometimes they say like, yeah, let's do something, and nothing happens with that. So I always got like a bunch of free beats somewhere on the side.
Rappers,
so, yeah. So I just managed to pull that, have maybe 7 or 8 beats, and like 3, 4 straight away. So the rest of them they listen. Okay, this is good. I like that, but it's not really. I'm not feeling that to make the bars right now or something like this, or the bars I got for this session, they not gonna fit this.
Yeah.
But some of them I play like it's almost like those 4-5 seconds, or once the beat drops, okay, this is it, and so it's nice to have that in your like catalog. Let's say
it's interesting when like an MC does that, and they don't make beats and you make beats, and then you just play it as you say. The main part kicks in properly, and it's like. That's the one, mate.
It's either this or it won't.
I always
really
think like, what's going on in their head, because they can't see how it's made or that. They just like the sound.
Yeah, it's instant. But
you
see, you rap as well. Like for me, when I rap, I know guys which like pen bars with no like beats, or like they listen to the beats, they stop the beat and they pen bars to like silence, something like that. But like for me, to be creative with my bars, because I never consider myself like a kind of full-time rapper as well, nothing like that. So I would just like, I need to have that nice melody, that nice beat which gonna inspire me. And quite often I would start making a beat, and that would be just like the dopest sample and a snare. And I could literally get down like a couple of 16s. So from our perspective, like, we spend hours, we like put the nice arrangement, nice drums on top of it, and it's all dope, got the effects. But if the guy in 10-15 seconds is not gonna like that melody, not gonna speak, like, I don't know, it's cliche, I don't want to sound like that, but like, if it won't gonna speak to his like, kind of heart, his soul, like his inner rapper, it's not gonna really work, because it's like, it's really bad as well to force yourself on the beats, because for me it's hard. Like if I don't feel the beat, like it's hard for me to do pen good bars on it. So
I found even writing to just like no sample and just like a kick drum and a snare, you write like aggressive bars. It's weird because you're just listening to and you're it's giving you that. There's no. It's just hard. So you start writing like aggressive bar
but that would be quite accurate as well what you're saying, because my man like Hedo, like another Polish collaborator like who stays in Manchester, actually like probably one of the best Polish rappers like rhyming in English I know, like and I'm talking internet and in person. So he's quite often but he makes proper like a grime music. So like grime beats, it's not about like elaborate melodies or like nice chord progressions in pop C minor style.
It's more about like dubstep.
It needs to be. It needs to be grimy. It needs to be dirty, kind of stripped down, like bass heavy, like kind of aggressive. So and then sometimes those rappers, what they need, like it's like that rhythm, like you said, kick and drum, and they can pen those, like they got the formula for like writing the bars, and it just like
and that it's got an aggressive sound, grime. So like,
definitely. Originally, yes, like and some rappers like got like they BPMs, like some like to venture in different, and some of them like let's say 90 BPM plus minus couple, and that's when they really feel the best, and that's when they
stick to
gave best performance as well. I always urge people to sort of experiment, and that's what I always do. That's what I always did as a producer as well. I kind of experiment with different sounds, and because it can lead you to really nice space where you can like be even like better producer, like And
I remember hearing RZA made a tune, a Wu-Tang tune, and it totally influenced me. I don't think I ever used it, I'm not sure, but he made the tune speed up while he's rapping in his verse. So
like automated.
Like dum ch, dum ch, and by the end of the verse it was like dum ch, dum ch, dum, and so it wasn't like, it was only a matter of 8 bars or something faster, like so 90 up to 98 or something, but like I was like, that was amazing, and he's rapping on it slowly as it's going, and as it's going it's faster, and faster. I was like, that was amazing. That and I don't think
It's
I ever
dope, but
copied.
for engineers, studio engineers, it's a nightmare. Ideas like this are nightmare. Like, I'll tell you that. Like,
Well, cool, man. We're still on we were already chatting about like what got you interested in music and what was pushing you that way, and you were always just interested in learning bits and bobs of the guitar and stuff, and you got into so many different types of music.
I get the like.
You used to make your little mixtapes.
Yeah, I had a shot of like some beat making as well. Like at like when I was like 15, as you know, tried like Magic Music Maker. Like I even couldn't really make good loops then. It was like back then it was really basic. I didn't understand nothing. Software was in English. I didn't really understood the English at that time. I have a shot at Fruity, like FL Studio back then, or Fruity Loops. That was it's called, like Fruity Loops, like early version, probably 4 or 5, like, and that was very painful. I dropped it after 3 months.
Yeah.
And the idea of like being producer was just dropped. I get back to my usual stuff. But in my late teens, as I said, I got introduced to the D&B scene and sort of like live underground gigs. I went to the bigger cities and I could see like upcoming rappers from different areas of the city coming to one place and perform with their DJs. I would see like amazing, for me at those times, like amazing DJs scratching over like break beats, drum and bass, like
and you were getting influenced.
Yeah,
by
them.
Like,
and I really like that. That was that was my vibe. Like
watching them doing the scratching.
Yeah.
On
Definitely,
and you were like, I like that.
I loved scratching and all my.
You were thinking I could be doing that.
At some point.
That looks
and
cool.
I think there was like a few different reasons why I kind of left to UK as well. But one of the reasons was obviously. Improving my financial situation, my work situation, and what I said to myself, a first salary, first pay I'm getting in UK, I'm definitely buying my set of decks. And so I did, and that's how it really started, so.
Oh, so your first set of decks?
First set of decks.
When you got here?
I got
cool.
here,
Nice.
So.
That's pretty cool.
I was probably 21 when I got my first set of decks, and I'll tell you that it was
so all the time in Poland, when you were just learning about music as a young kid and hearing it, and your dad playing guitar and getting all into music was all preparation.
I was kind of still a kind of spectator, in a sense,
And literally from when you moved here, you began your interest in DJing.
I mean, I already I had friends which were DJs or something like this, and I'd be their friend at the party and see what they do, and they would give me even a shot or teach me already, taught me then, that's what we do. We mixing, we beat much, every song got the BPM, so you need to know your BPMs and
so
there's
learned
intro.
a lot of this sort of stuff.
But still, at that point, they telling you something and you cannot really comprehend. For you, it's like black rocket science. At that time, that wasn't rocket science, So, but here, I'm getting in here, I'm getting my set of decks, and first year was really painful. Still, I want to kind of remind you that it's time, YouTube is really starting. YouTube is not the place we know nowadays. How to make everything is on YouTube, pretty much. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like that back then. Definitely, there was literally a couple of written articles I could find in Polish about DJing. What DJing is, how can you DJ or whatever. So I found some English tutorials, but I'm still kind of a little bit behind with that. So I'm not really understanding what's happening, seeing and trying to experiment and practice myself. And that was the times as well, especially whenever we came here as a Polish people, for example, and other nations can clearly relate to. It's shit, you don't know nothing. You got some hookup, somebody get you a flat, you're starting a job, you're 21, you come into a work, you expect it to be working, and you don't even speak that language, so you're trying to get the connections within the let's say Scottish, British field, or anybody else, I had German friends or something like this, and on top of that, it was my mates coming. Listen, I was to the flat party yesterday, and there was this DJ, this Polish DJ, and he seems like he actually knows what he's doing. You should maybe meet him. Maybe I can. So that was times like this. If I only hear there's somebody's DJing, it would be can I meet this guy? I need to meet.
Yeah.
So and that I would start like making my like little connections as well, like, you know. So, and then obviously people, oh, there's this guy called Sokol, and he's a DJ. Like, we were making flat party, like, let's get him in. Like, he can, like, you know, he's doing little scratches, and that was, for example, techno crowd. And even back then, my little scratches would impress kind of techno DJs, or like, you know, okay, come and you just play a little bit. So, like, actually, that's how I started. Like, start mixing for people on flat parties, like in Edinburgh, and I guess that would be introduce me to more people, and maybe
you just met more and more people, really, and it's connections to people, that make.
Again, social media weren't like right now that you can literally hook up like the dude, like hit somebody like in Glasgow or this, like So you had to. It was this aspect of like sense of word of mouth and who you knew.
It's
and
mad, like how much you came here and you didn't know anyone, you didn't really know any English and blah blah blah, and you came to the scene and had to meet people and everything like that. And now like the name DJ Sokol ended up earning a name.
And
like so you must have been focused on it, like I'm coming.
And my luck as well. Listen, my first flat, which was really.
Is that me?
Perhaps
my
okay.
pocket.
My first flat was literally opposite like Bristol Square, so it's
right.
like that was great for me. You know, like just perfect spots
Real
to.
Sort of atmosphere of hip hop and that. With the
that's crazy. Those early days of like it.
Before they
Bro,
changed
it was mind blowing for me. Like I see like those skateboard dudes every day. Like, you know, I see that on like American or like European, like German mixtapes. Like we had on VHS or something like this. Bear in mind, I wasn't like brought up in like big city or something like this. So it's still
that would have been
like,
cool.
Guys doing free running, they doing parkour, like, you know,
You've
like
came to Scotland. And
they doing tricks on the BMX, like Flatland. That was like dope. And obviously through that I met like, you know, really. They weren't really aware back then, like Chanel, Elmi, like that. I'm already there, and I'm kind of like I observe what's happening. Like they met me like years after, like approaching to me. Okay, yo, DJ Sokol, we want some beats, like, you know. But like I was a little like somewhere like next to it, like, you know, years before, kind of observing what's happened. Who's who in this scene? Oh, this guy, like who's this guy? He's here every day. He sings. Oh, Adam Holmes. Wow, like one of the. Greatest like Scottish singers, like, you know, I met him like back in the day in Bristol Square. So like tons of people, like, you know, and nowadays it's almost like too many to mention, like, you know, almost don't want to leave somebody out, but, you know,
totally, man.
Even like eventually meeting like Perfect Practice and Mr. Jinx, I was like
Sonny and that.
I was like a fan of them, like, because as I said, like, as like I like to consider myself as a student of hip hop. I wasn't only focused, okay, like, I want to do my like Polish shit and like, you know, tough rapping on like piano beats, like about tough life like of immigrant and like how sad we are, and how I wasn't interested in that, like, you know. I want to really explore and meet people. So
cool, man, cool. Well, we've pretty much covered how you got into the music and that, and it's amazing, hearing like your story of. And that is mad, like, you must have worked hard at it. Well, you've got a pretty cool studio as well, and that you've went from, like, just buying your first decks and having a little go and doing some parties. And back then, would you look in the future and know you'd be doing all this now?
It's funny, like, you know, the whole stuff with it, because, like, at first, I just want to, like, you know, have decks and play some underground parties and have friends around and be that DJ on that party, like, you know, that like maybe it's a little bit shallow as well in a sense, because like I want to be that guy. I just want to like provide music. I like
that must be a lot of the aim anyway. Rappers, man, why do rappers rap?
I like music. I thought I knew what good music is. I had the friends interested in the good music, so that was kind of natural progression for me to go into that. But I never thought it's gonna be like that, but at the same time we all kind of dreamt starting something, and I even seen like, oh, by the time I'm 30, through the old school prism of perceiving like a music industry, it was like, okay, so these are like guys before, we pay homage, like like we pay tribute, like whatever, but then it's our time, and we need to, like, you know, but nowadays it doesn't work like this. So at some points, like, maybe I thought, like, you know, that I'm gonna be bigger and like make more money or this or that. But at some point in my life, I never thought I even gonna be making beats. You know what I mean? So like, or even rapping. Back in the day, I dreamt about it, but like I was like, you fucking rapping, like you fucking mad, like even like having this like a small town mentality, like it's not for you. Like, well, why would you fucking do it? Like so.
It's good you basically do it like we all do because you enjoy it, and then and it's just going to take you places, eh?
Yeah.
But well, we've pretty much came up to time on the second part as well, man. So we're going to have another little break.
Cool. Sounds good.
Play another one of your tracks that's going to be on.
Perfect. It's still a mystery.
Yeah, mystery right now.
We'll reveal that soon.
But we'll find. I'll have all the info by the time I'm editing it. So
nice one.
The name, the track details will all be on the screen and everything, and we'll catch you in a little minute.
Okay.
Own Dialect.
Right, guys, so that's us back again.
We're back.
Yep, here we are, back in the screens. And I've got nothing funny to say. I know, but I hope you enjoyed that second track there. All the details should have been on the screen. And my brain's just went completely dead. I'm not even sure what's going on. But yeah, cool. We're going to move on to the third part. And it's basically based on what sort of accomplishments through your music and things you've like achieved through it that you're proud of, like even artists you've maybe performed with on stage or supported, and anything really, releases you're proud of, any sort of things you can come to mind that.
Yeah, I guess you can like divide it into a few kind of sectors, because whenever we were talking about like back in the day, just like trying to be a DJ and like play simple parties, that was the goal. And it's funny how that works, because like once you reach that goal, you already on that different meal. You got that like analogy of the meal, like you want to eat something like else by then, like, you know, you already had that. So okay, I play a couple of parties, and it's never at that point that like you finishing like one thing and start another. It's all kind of like, you know, sort of works simultaneously, because like after a year of DJing I started like I picked like simple beat making, and that was also like super tedious and frustrating experience. Like I started on FL Studio, went into the Reason for a bit, and that was as well, especially because I want to be like a kind of sample based producer at that time. I want to like chop up all the records and put the, you know, boom bap drums, and like, you know, that was like what I really wanted to do. So I also picked like MPCs for a moment to like, you know, almost fulfill that real kind of, not maybe image, but the way of like producing records, how I see my favorite producers doing it, you know, chopping, because like, you know, those guys skilled on MPCs even back in the day, on those like early ones, like, you know, they did it so quickly, and
loading all the samples in and just
and working on MPCs, like that was probably one of the most fun times. Like I would produce beats, because
MIDI controllers are good fun, hooking them up as well.
Totally. But then like I naturally progressed with sort of like, you know, mixing and stuff. So like I stick more to the DAW. Like I went to the college as well. I did like a sound production course, like in back then it was called Jewel S College.
All right,
And
Jewel-esque.
Jewel-esque, and I did that. Like I did 3 years
that
there.
Used to be out near where I stay.
Totally. So good times. Like I met like good people, more connections. Like my English improved. Like, you know, access to the better equipment, new ideas as well. But I think the question was
your accomplishment.
Accomplishments. Because like as I said, even for me, accomplishment is like I'm finally able to make music I like to listen to. In a sense that like I always like some of my beats, but the mix, like there was always like comparing yourself to the best producers, or like music I like. It always it has that vibe, it has almost that style, but like the drums are kind of weak, like, you know, the mix is not that good, like there's no mastering. I have no idea about like mastering, about like limiters, stuff like that. So that was really kind of back then frustrating, and this is accomplishment for me, that like I can do that, for example, like, you know,
make a nice finished music now.
And what naturally goes with that is like even some of the artists I actually listen extensively, like Souls of Mischief, I met them through like this what I did, because I was a DJ, I was also a promoter. Shout out to DJ Fusion Promotions, like
I was just like thinking Ralph,
he actually hooked me
I
up.
was just thinking as you were saying that gig.
Like we did the Jerry the Damaja, so like I met him, and then like I even been in the studio with some like big Polish rappers, like I did records with them which are actually like, you know, known or something like this, and so I can go like those kind of typical
those are all things
like,
to
you know,
be proud of, though.
Of course, but like
it's
almost like what I said before, that like once you get to that level, you're hungry for something else, because there is something else on the stake, and sometimes it's hard to stay kind of happy, because like you know, there's tons of memes for producers or stuff, like, you know, there is certain lifestyle goes with it, even like staying at night and like, you know, not doing like going outside and like, you know, doing something. So nowadays I try to keep the balance of it, like, you know, go for my bike, do some sports, like, you know, spend time with like, you know, close ones and stuff. This is important. Like back in the day I was more fanatic, like, you know, hours in the studio beat making, and like, you know,
if you could you would do it all night, go to sleep and wake up in the morning,
that's what's been happening for years, and it's great, but you need to sort of stay sane in it as well, like, you know, to stay objective and actually know if your music is good or not.
At that
like,
stage in your life, though, it was the right thing to do, work it that hard. That's how you, as you earlier on was saying, made your name as DJ Sokol. You worked at it constant. That's how people know my name, because I did it all the time, and then I've slowed up totally, and but I don't claim my name's the biggest thing anymore. You know what I mean?
You just like, but you see, you got another project. That's the thing. We progress. Like, you know, we don't have to be like one trick ponies as well, or something
totally,
like this.
Man.
You know?
It's good to do different things as well. I mean, I even back in the day, thought about running nights, you know, like
Okay, yeah,
promoting
yeah.
club. I know enough artists.
Tough
Yeah.
stuff as well.
It was something I actually only got involved once on a gig, but I never, and I think, I thought myself that that's hard work doing that, you know, running nights and making it successful. And so, yeah.
In regards accomplishments, like, you know, in 2009, 2010, my accomplishments were like, wow, Mr. Jinx coming to the night we have on, like, again, just now, shout out to Tragic Pro, like, you know, because like we ran the night together. It was called Dirty District, and first sort of wave of kind of recognition, apart from like maybe Polish folk, like in Edinburgh or like Scotland perhaps. I would be like, we were first time introduced to sort of like Scottish fans of hip hop, or like, you know, because we put on like Perfect Practice, and like Mr. Jinx would come around, and like many other artists as well, which would be rated by people here. So that's what gave us, like, you know, that sort of like, you even said, Paralytic Universe, like, you know, because we would put like lots of kind of boom bap records, like boom bap tracks, like, you know, and sort of maintaining certain style, I guess, which like we deliver. We had like DJs in the team as well, so like we at beginnings we always like to have some cuts, some scratches, like, you know, that was like another accomplishment. I always loved like you know, cutting like scratch hooks on like 90s records. And back in the day, like, I would never think, like, I'm gonna do something like this in the future, like, you know, because I just at first I just want to beat match, let's mix some drum and bass, some break beats, and people gonna dance, and maybe MC gonna spit some bars, and that's it. At the time I was like, okay, I know how to beat match and mix, like, let's do some cutting and scratches. And obviously that took like I totally agree, like whatever like U-Turn said about learning the scratching is one of the toughest, and you can really be like, you have to be dedicated, passionate, and like self-discipline is like a big key in that, like, sort of like in scratching and turntablism. So I kind of left that, but that was like, you know, listening to the first tracks where I put my first cuts, and that was accomplishment. Small things, but you
still
know,
have the memory there, the way you still put the cuts on stuff easily.
I can still do that, but it's just like more, you know, when people ask us for like here in the studio for cuts or like kind of scratching, like we're more like, you know what, we know these other guys, like hit them up, because they like, you know, DJing like on point, they still practice. We make beats, we mix, master, like, you know, that's our kind of main thing, like on daily sort of operations in the studio.
You're wanting everything to be the best. So if you're not doing your scratching enough,
and the you know, the level like is high. There's like lots of good DJs. So I still DJ like every week or so, like in town, like, so I'm on point with the skill of like mixing and doing simple cuts, transitions, trick mixing, but like like to make cuts, like also to make good scratches and cuts on like on good song, like, you know, it takes lots of like hours even to create the content you want to scratch, like, and because you want to have some, you know, rhetoric values in this. Maybe like it's not just like exactly, like, you know, back in the day we would put anything, like it just sounds nice, it's a scratch, but like you want to have, like, you know, the rapper touch some like subject matter in the song, you want to sort of relay that and make it so like you know, so or even his vocals, as you said. But shout out all the DJs, scratch DJs, like, you know, put up good work. You know?
Totally, man. Big up all the DJs. There's and Scotland's actually pretty good for DJs, man. Like, got a lot of good DJs in Scotland, and there's a fair few Polish DJs too, isn't there?
Yeah, like definitely there's way much more like
and producers and that. And
Polish producers, I would say, and rappers. There's like way much more rappers than like Polish producers here or DJs. But there was a moment like Tragic Pro still DJing, like DJ Prismat, not that often. I think
it's
like,
cool,
you know,
like the what's the word, like intertwining with Scottish hip hop and stuff.
No,
cool,
it's been happening like for years, like lots of like cross collaborations, like again, I don't want to focus on like dropping names, but had a chance to work with like Glasgow rappers, Livingston rappers.
I produced a tune for this guy MC Yan.
MC Anna, yeah, I totally know the story. Like
Ah.
at some point, I think that that song even end up here, like or he was
Oh,
recording perhaps like the
Oh,
bars
nice,
or like
man.
there was or maybe he just like played me the song, but I definitely
cool.
remember that.
Yeah, it was a cool track. And he doesn't really do much music anymore.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
no, focus on some like other sort of like careers and stuff. But
Yeah.
like to my knowledge,
was
like
good, though.
he's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
well. And in recent years, I know he also got involved in sort of helping to run a label or perhaps help release records from his like part of Poland where he's from. Like so
right.
he would be involved in
Mm.
that
Yeah,
in recent
yeah.
years.
So he's got more into that sort
Yeah,
of thing. Yeah, cool.
So
yeah.
yeah,
I was a mate. I mean, that was years ago when I
Mhm.
did that with him, and that's what I
I
mean.
think that
was,
came out like years after though. Like
yeah,
the
it came
release,
out
like,
years after
Yeah.
when we worked on it, and then it came out like a few years after.
Mhm.
Anyway, yeah, it's mad. But cool. Well, any other sort of I mean, after this, we can talk a wee bit about what you're working on just now and focused on. And but is any other accomplishments or things, memories and things you're glad you did?
Just overall, like, I think I'm happy, like that I can really do what I like wanted to do, and sometimes like we all losing a little bit hope, let's say, in regards to our decisions or something. But like I'm still happy to do it, and even like to meet all those people I had the chance to meet and learn from there. That was like that's like a achievement and accomplishment like itself. So like I'm really happy with that, bro.
Where you are now in your life's an accomplishment, man. You got this cool studio. You're managing to sort of live your dreams in a way. Like live what you enjoy doing. And,
Yeah, but like back in the day,
lots
yeah,
of stress too.
that would
I'd
be
imagine.
super. But like right now, I'm thinking, it would be nice to have a lake house or
Aye,
any
aye,
house,
aye.
like So it's just like.
And also like you got a cool studio and everything. But the first thing I said to you when I was, oh man, nice studio, nice studio on its own. Costs money to have this though, eh?
Of course.
So that with
you kind of speculate to sort of
stress comes
get,
with things,
Of course.
It's
After years, I just kind of, I guess, learn. Like you told me as well, like you're self-employed, so you need to kind of organize that, like job opportunities for yourself. You still need to kind of chase it, and that's a kind of stress with that comes with. But like also to certain degree, you got maybe a little bit more freedom with like planning your own time. And because you don't have to. You're kind of your own boss, so you don't have to request. Maybe apart from your girlfriend or your wife, like you want to kind of get involved her in those plans of you're
definitely.
creating, like making holidays or like some trips and stuff. But like apart from that, like
I didn't
you can
know it
really
was possible not to.
no, exactly. So no.
Yeah, man.
So to make those arrangements, so like I'm happy to do it, and sometimes like, bro, it's like this that sometimes I'm fed up with this everything, and like shit, like I should do something else. Like I should become somebody else and maybe change career and stuff. And because
I often think could just quit everything, get a normal job, and just sit and watch EastEnders at night. Like.
And you know what? Like back in the day, I was like everything but that, and everything like what I represented was against that, and then living a certain lifestyle. I just want to be that Joe average, like having like a nice sofa, a nice telly, and something like like I'll play video games because I haven't played them like for years, and right now I like to just chill and like I appreciate a good game and sort of like it's just like simple entertainment, but it's cool. Back in the day, I was like no, just make another beat, let's make music and like let's push that like more but then you sacrifice some things as well. That's like like relationships, like friendships, like. Money itself, like putting money into something which not gonna necessarily gonna pay off, but then like we all got our like guilty pleasures, and like I think everybody should have like some sort of hobby, passion, and some kind of space for yourself. You can.
There's pros and cons to all choices in life.
I guess.
Like so, whatever you choose, there's good sides to everything, and risks on everything, isn't there really? So,
but for
often, as you say, the to do things different takes lots of risks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I guess for now I still gonna stick to that. But you see, like just also touching on that, some people like from the like outside of the things they see. Okay, so like it's so he's making money like from producing or just being a DJ. It's like what made me like what helped me. It's like just being actually like getting into video editing, like getting know how to like engineer rappers rather than just sending them a beat, like because right now there's already few more job opportunities. Somebody might need you to help him with the project, and like at some point I believe that if you're skilled enough and you're willing to work on something, you should get paid. So like
totally, man. Yeah,
that's how that
it's
how that works.
What
like
you've got set up is amazing now.
But again, it's like there's still tons like of better equipment you can buy, tons of better studios. Like, but nowadays it's like we're limited with creativity, and nowadays with the technology, like we can use and
comes down to who's operating it as well.
At the end of the day,
I mean, some cool stuff's been made on some really cheap equipment, and
totally, and it's
people
happens.
talk about that. It's like that was made on one of those. Like, you kidding? Like, so,
and even funny things like nowadays it's almost like there was a wave maybe in 2015 post like 2016 there was this kind of like a wave of like SoundCloud rappers, trappers would start, including like Lil Pump, for example. And they were just like young kids, not like okay, I was penning my bars for the last 5 years and working on my craft, and I'm dope rapper. I'm just like whatever. Homies told me like that I should rap because they rap, and apparently I'm funny, so like let's rap. Simple beats, repeating some words, and like those guys did it, recording, for example, the first videos to the internet, like the music was going out of the speakers, and they would record literally on the video. With the sound of the ambience, so like not like proper like environment. You would record vocals even like we do right now, and you would have that distorted bass in that recording and stuff, but then it's becoming like a style of the music. So then producers like myself or other producers, okay, the beats like of Lil Pump are popular. This is the wave. People want those beats, but we need to recreate that distorted bass. But he just did it because he recorded speaker into the microphone, and that's why it's distorted. Right now we need to create that. And whenever I was in college, they would say like, no, the bass cannot be distorted. it cannot peak here on red. And right now those like kind of rules, there are some rules we follow as a producers and engineers, like but still to stay relevant and creative and constantly have a job, like you kind of need to sort of go with the waves and stream as well, even because it's very very controversial for some still to that day, like using autotune, like nowadays, like more than half of the people which gonna come to record to the studio, it's obvious that we got the autotune already on our like track set, like so because that's what we're gonna do, like rather than not having like
you can have it on gentle settings and
of course it depends on the artist, depend on the effect we going after or the song,
the sound coming out
but
of
it's
it
kind of like
sometimes it's just correcting tones very subtly, and sometimes it's like really high.
It's almost like default setting. So you see, if I would be like, oh, like I don't like that new sound, I don't fuck with it, and I'm not gonna learn how to do it, how to achieve that effect, like I wouldn't have like half of the customers, and I couldn't run the business. So you need to sort of like
go with all
and
different styles
and use it to your advantage. You don't have to use it on your own tracks, but like if the rapper, like artist, like request, you want to like have that for them, like
We've only got a wee couple of minutes left, man. So I don't know if you want to give a mention for anything you're actually working on yourself just now, or any releases that might be coming, or what you've.
Listen, there's like always some kind of work. Like I'm quite often involved in like multiple projects, like with Polish guys, like with Scottish here, so like or even artists from different countries, but like. I think like the most like important right now for me is like like running like a Bronx studio, like having like steady like income from like working with different artists, like mix master for people,
running the business basically,
and running also like Bronx Beats, where like my associates like Koński and Puzon like contribute to that like sort of new venture of ours, like, and we got like around 90 beats right now. Soon we're gonna hit the mark of 100 beats, and like we start putting them on, like, on YouTube as well, and try to really take off with the beat selling website, and
nice.
that's what I would like
That's
to
what
really
you're focusing on. Yeah.
share on that platform tonight, like,
Yeah.
So check the Bronx Beats
So where can
page
you
on
find it?
on BeatStars, and like my YouTube channel, Own Dialect. That's where you're gonna find like all the new releases. I also got my Spotify, Own Dialect. Lots of like mixed stuff, but like if you look for good music, like good beats, like all new, like hit me up, like, and
So just
check
search for Own Dialect.
yeah, Own Dialect. That's the keywords, like no other Own Dialect around. So like if you're gonna search that, you
YouTube it,
definitely
Google
gonna
it.
you're definitely gonna come across the
Nice.
to my music, like,
Perfect.
So
Cool.
yeah.
Nice one, man. Well, I think we're pretty much at it then for tonight, eh? We're pretty much out of time, and you've said a bunch of your accomplishments and what you're sort of focused on just now, really. Eh? So, and your hopes for the future to get your Bronx Beats going.
Yeah, definitely.
Did I pronounce it right?
So no, it's all all
cool,
good.
man.
So, and
Nice,
yeah,
man.
like, thanks again for like
Big up
having me, like, on the waves of your platform,
Yeah.
LETV.
It's been good
and
to like catch up in that anyway as well.
no.
So
Hopefully, like, it's not our like last time
no,
in front of the mics, like
I know.
chatting away, like,
no, definitely get you back on.
And,
I'm going to get guests back on
yeah.
and
you got
different ideas.
you got the new ideas as well
Yeah,
about that, like a sort of producer chat and stuff.
I was just saying. Now we could say
So,
we just had this cool little idea, just chatting away earlier, that maybe getting a bunch of producers on one show. So if you're watching, thinking, oh, that'd be cool, that's an idea we might
can
do.
tackle some topics like sampling, like music production, how different schools, like, sort
All
of
sorts
even divide within the hip hop community, like old school, new school, and
Yeah,
sort
man.
of like hot topics like that, like,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. Like,
Yeah, definitely. So we'll have a wee think about that. But anyway, I'll definitely be getting you back
Okay.
on at some point. So
cool.
I got to chill today because
Yeah.
you did most of the chatting. So
Nice one.
you were definitely a good guest. Like, so
Okay.
yeah, big up again, man.
Thank you.
Big
Thank
up,
you.
and thanks to everyone for watching. We'll catch you soon.
Thanks.
Peace. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any upcoming content.